Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we are diving into one of the most underrated, yet totally critical parts of any AI or machine learning project, the README file. Seriously, we're going to talk about how to turn that file from a last-minute chore into what might be your most powerful asset for getting your work used and recognized. So here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll shift how we even think about the README. Then, we'll dissect what actually goes into a great one. After that, we'll get into the really fun stuff, the specifics for AI/ML projects. We'll also cover how to build this into your workflow, and I'll wrap up by sharing some awesome tools to make your life a whole lot easier. Okay, let's start with the big idea. We need to stop seeing the README as just another file. It's not. It's the official front page for your project, and getting that in your head changes everything. Let's be honest. This is the question, isn't it? As a data scientist or ML engineer, you can build the most incredible, state-of-the-art model. But if your own teammate, let alone someone new, can't figure out how to install it, run it, or reproduce your results, what's the point? A great README is literally the bridge that closes that gap. So if you take one thing from this section, it's this. Your README is the welcome mat. It's the front door, the guided tour, and the first handshake all rolled into one. It sets the entire tone for how people will see your work. And think about what that actually does for you. A solid README doesn't just explain, it sells your project. It makes it easy for others to jump in and contribute. It builds trust, right? When someone sees clear instructions and maybe some of those little green build passing badges, they know you're a pro. It becomes the go-to place for everyone. All right, so we get the why. Now let's get into the nuts and bolts, the what. These are the universal building blocks for pretty much any high-quality professional README out there. Think of this as your foolproof blueprint. You start with the project's identity. What is this thing? Then you show off its key features. Next, and this is crucial, you give crystal clear instructions on how to get started. Then you open the door for others to help out. And finally, you cover the legal stuff. If you follow this path, you're not going to miss anything important. Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for us. This section is all about taking that great foundation and customizing it for AI and machine learning projects. Because, let's face it, our projects have some unique complexities. Exactly. We're not just dealing with simple application code. We've got data, we've got complex model architectures, endless experiments. And, this is the big one, the absolute need for reproducibility. Your documentation has to reflect that, or it's just not doing its job. So on top of all the basics, these 4 sections are basically non-negotiable. You have to explain your model architecture. You absolutely need to describe the dataset and any pre-processing steps you took. A map of the project structure is a lifesaver. And most important of all, give people the exact steps to reproduce your results. And hey, don't just tell me your model is good. Show me. A clean, simple table like this with your key performance metrics, it provides immediate, objective proof of what you've achieved. This is credibility in a nutshell. This right here, this slide captures the mindset shift from being just a data scientist to being a true ML engineer. A generic README tells you how to run the code. A professional AI/ML README tells you how to reproduce the exact result. That means pinning your library versions, maybe giving a Docker command, setting your random seeds. This is the gold standard. Okay, so we know what needs to go in the README, but let's talk about the how and the when. How do we actually make this a seamless part of our workflow so it doesn't feel like a chore we have to do at the very end? This is probably the question I hear the most. Do you wait until everything is perfect and then write the docs? Do you do it right before you make the pull request? What's the right time? The answer is simple. Day 1. The moment you get in it, you should be creating README.md. Treat it like a living notebook for your project. Start with a title and a goal. When you add a major function, you add a quick usage note. When you finish a model training run, you drop the results table in. It grows with your project. So what happens when you do such a good job that your README becomes, well, huge? First of all, that's a good problem to have. It means your project is getting serious. But yeah, a single file that you have to scroll through for 5 minutes isn't helpful. So, what's next?
That's your cue. That's the project itself telling you it's time to graduate. When a single file just isn't cutting it anymore, it's time to move to a dedicated documentation site with things like search, a proper navigation bar, and multiple pages.
And the great news is, you don't need to be a web developer. Tools like Markdocs and Sphinx are amazing. They take your Markdown files and automatically turn them into a beautiful professional website. And you can host it for free right on GitHub Pages. It's a game changer. All right, let's bring it all home. To wrap up, I want to share some fantastic resources that will help you put all of this into practice. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel here. You can stand on the shoulders of giants. Seriously, don't start from a blank page. Go look at what other amazing projects are doing. That awesome README list is a goldmine of ideas. There are even tools like Make a README that will walk you through building one step by step. And to make writing it even less of a hassle, use tools inside your code editor. If you're on VS Code, these extensions are a must. Markdown All-in-One gives you a live preview and shortcuts, and Markdown Lint is like a spell checker for formatting. It keeps everything looking clean and consistent. I love this quote because it just nails the whole point. This isn't tedious, busy work. It's a strategic investment. It's about professionalism, it's about making your work accessible, and ultimately it's about building a community of people who can use and build upon what you've created. So that's the final question I want to leave you with. Next time you start a project, or even when you go back and look at your old ones, just ask yourself this: is my README an open invitation, or is it a barrier? The answer to that question could define the entire impact of your work. Thanks for tuning in.